Let me ask you something that most men think about but rarely say out loud. When was the last time you felt truly comfortable in intimate moments? Not second-guessing yourself, not worrying about whether your body works the way it used to, not wondering if age has quietly changed something fundamental about who you are. I'm Dr. Naira, a urologist who spent years working with men navigating their health, their relationships, and their confidence across every stage of life. And if you've ever had questions about intimacy, about changes you've noticed, or about concerns you've kept private, stay with us. We're here to help you understand your body with honesty, dignity, and the clarity you deserve. Today, we're going to talk about something that surprises many men, not because it's shocking, but because no one ever explained it clearly before. This conversation isn't about performance. It's not about trying to turn back time. And it's definitely not about pressure. It's about understanding what genuinely changes with age, what doesn't, and how a few misunderstood habits can quietly undermine intimacy, confidence, and connection in ways most men never recognize. Now, before we dive in, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I genuinely love seeing how far this community reaches, from bustling cities to quiet towns and everywhere in between. All right, let's begin. Here's the belief I hear more than almost any other. I'm older now. This part of life just isn't for me anymore. And I want to say this clearly, as your doctor, genuine connection does not have an expiration date. What changes with age isn't your capacity for closeness. What changes is often your confidence, your communication, and your understanding of how your body works now compared to how it worked decades ago. I see men every week, men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, who assume their body has failed them, when in reality, they're responding to myths, to silence, and to unnecessary shame that nobody ever helped them unpack. Here's the truth. Concerns about intimacy are not automatically caused by aging. More often, they're caused by avoiding conversations, misinterpreting normal bodily responses, and letting embarrassment replace curiosity. And the encouraging part? These patterns are fixable. Over my years in urology, I've worked with men who believed their best years were behind them. And here's what I've learned. When men understand how the body actually works, when they understand the emotional signals behind physical responses, and when they stop judging normal biology as somehow wrong, everything shifts. Confidence returns, connection deepens, and intimacy becomes simpler, not harder. Today, we're going to walk through 5 common mistakes men make around intimacy and connection, mistakes that quietly erode trust, comfort, and enjoyment, and how to replace them with habits that restore ease, dignity, and closeness. Stay with me, because the first one surprises almost everyone. Let's address this directly, because it causes more awkwardness and misunderstanding than almost anything else. Many men instinctively pull back or react with discomfort when they notice natural wetness during intimate moments. They treat it as something messy, uncomfortable, or somehow problematic. But biologically, this response is completely misunderstood. That moisture is not random. It's not unclean. It's not a problem to be solved. It's the body doing exactly what it's designed to do. Natural lubrication comes from small glands that produce moisture to protect delicate tissue. It increases when arousal increases. The body also produces other secretions that help maintain balance, reduce irritation, and create comfort. This fluid is mostly water, combined with protective proteins, natural salts, and defense compounds that reduce friction and support healthy tissue. In other words, it's not only normal, it's necessary. Now, here's where the emotional damage happens. When a man reacts with visible discomfort, even subtly, even without saying anything, it sends a message. Something about you is wrong. Most women internalize that instantly. Even if nothing is said out loud, the reaction registers. And over time, it creates self-consciousness, withdrawal, and a quiet erosion of trust. She may begin to pull back emotionally. She may become hesitant during intimate moments, not because anything is actually wrong, but because she's absorbed the signal that her body's natural response is somehow unacceptable. The shift happens when you reframe this entirely. Instead of discomfort, see natural moisture as a sign of readiness, health, and trust. That reframing alone changes the entire dynamic of intimacy. When you respond with ease and acceptance rather than hesitation, it communicates something powerful. Your body is safe with me, all of it. And that sense of safety is what allows intimacy to deepen rather than shrink. This is one of the most quietly asked questions I hear in my practice. Here's the straightforward truth. Natural scent and taste change constantly. They're not fixed. They're influenced by many factors. Hydration levels affect concentration and mildness. Diet plays a role. Fruits and water tend to keep things lighter, while heavy spices, alcohol, or caffeine can intensify things. Stress, medications, and hormonal shifts, especially later in life, can also create variations in consistency or sharpness. Emotionally, these variations are completely normal. Your own body doesn't smell or taste identical every single day. Neither does anyone else's. The danger comes when men interpret normal fluctuations as a problem, when they treat a slight change as something wrong or something to be avoided. Now, if there's a sudden, strong shift combined with physical discomfort, irritation, or other unusual symptoms, that's worth a medical check. Not out of alarm, but out of simple responsibility. But most of the time, these are just normal variations in biology. Men who stay calm, grounded, and curious, not critical, create far more closeness than men who overanalyze every subtle difference. Acceptance fuels desire far more powerfully than perfection ever could. When you respond to natural changes with patience and understanding rather than judgment, you're not just being kind. You're creating an environment where both of you can relax, be present, and enjoy intimacy without the weight of silent criticism. Let's be adults about this part. Yes, intimacy is generally safe in healthy, committed relationships. But like any form of physical closeness, there are practical considerations that shouldn't be ignored simply because they feel awkward to discuss. Bodily fluids can carry infections. That's not alarmist, it's just biology. Risk increases in situations where there are open sores, gum issues, or active infections. It also increases when partners don't communicate openly about their health status. The real mistake here isn't awareness, it's silence. Emotionally, avoiding these conversations breeds distance. It creates an unspoken tension, and it prevents both partners from feeling fully secure. The solution is simple and respectful: regular health check-ins, not out of fear or suspicion, but out of shared responsibility. Honest conversations about any changes, concerns, or symptoms. Mutual care that acknowledges both partners' well-being matters equally. Strong relationships are built on clarity, not assumptions. When you can talk openly about health without embarrassment or defensiveness, it actually strengthens trust rather than undermining it. This isn't about creating fear around intimacy. It's about creating safety, and safety is what allows intimacy to flourish. This is where most couples slowly, quietly drift apart. A question goes unasked, a concern stays buried, a curiosity turns into quiet. Withdrawal. And over time, distance grows, not because of lack of love, but because of lack of communication. Bodies change with age, with stress, with illness, with medication, with diet. Responses evolve. What felt one way 10 years ago may feel different now, and that's normal. But emotionally, when those changes aren't discussed, silence gets misread. It gets interpreted as rejection, disinterest, or dissatisfaction. Practically, small adjustments that could easily improve things never happen because they're never talked about. The fix isn't confrontation. It's not criticism or complaint. It's gentle curiosity. A calm, kind conversation. What feels good for you now? Or is there anything you'd like to try differently? Can strengthen intimacy more than any technique ever could. When you create space for honest dialogue, without judgment or defensiveness, you give both of you permission to evolve together rather than growing apart in silence. Most men assume that talking about these things will kill the mood or create tension. But in my experience, the opposite is true. Talking about intimacy with care and respect doesn't diminish desire. It protects it. This is the most important one. And it's the one that changes everything. When you accept your partner fully, no flinching, no hesitation, no subtle judgment, it sends an extraordinarily powerful message. You are safe with me, all of you. Biologically, that sense of safety allows the body to relax. Blood flow improves. Responses become more natural and less inhibited. Emotionally, it dissolves insecurities that may have been carried for years, sometimes decades. In real life, it transforms intimacy from something that requires effort and management into something that simply flows. The most powerful skill in intimacy isn't technical. It's not about technique or performance. It's acceptance. When you respond to your partner's body, in all its natural variations, changes, and responses, with ease and warmth, you create an environment where both of you can be fully present, and presence is what intimacy actually is. Not perfection, not performance, presence. Let me give you a simple, 3-part approach you can start using immediately. 1. Shared health awareness schedule. Routine health checkups together. Not out of fear or obligation, but as an act of teamwork and mutual care. When both partners take responsibility for their health, it removes the awkwardness and makes it a normal, shared part of life. 2. Normalize small changes. Recognize that hydration, diet, stress, and even the time of month or season can affect how bodies respond. Adjust together, with curiosity rather than blame. Small shifts in routine, drinking more water, eating lighter before intimacy, reducing stress where possible, can make noticeable differences. 3. Lead with welcome. Treat natural bodily responses as signs of trust and readiness, not as problems to be fixed or avoided. When you approach your partner's body with warmth and acceptance, it creates safety, and safety is the foundation of genuine connection. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, curious, and kind. If any of this felt uncomfortable to hear, that's completely normal. Every man I've ever worked with has had these same questions. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you're certainly not alone. Understanding your body and your partner's body doesn't kill desire, it protects it. Here's what I want you to remember. Your 50s, 60s, and beyond can be some of your most confident, connected years, not despite age, but because of the wisdom and patience that come with it. When you replace embarrassment with understanding, when you replace silence with calm conversation, and when you lead with acceptance instead of judgment, intimacy becomes lighter, safer, and deeply fulfilling. If this helped you gain clarity or gave you a new perspective, I'd be grateful if you subscribed. Share this with someone who might need reassurance rather than pressure. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and what topics you'd like to see next. I'm Dr. Naira. Small shifts create real freedom, and vitality, true vitality, doesn't disappear with age. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.